I remember when my supervisor said to me, well, can you not accept that soccer is that patient spirituality? And I was sitting there like, pardon me? It's their sacred core. That's what life is lived for. But at the end of life, people have huge questions. And then they come to the question, is my sacred big enough?
There is a limit to what we can bring to the other
Yeah.
person. I think that gets exponentially increased when we're talking about spirituality, because that's one of those markers of that intersectional identity that is the most obscure. Race, like you can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it. Spirituality can be hidden, like a lot, and people. The modern world is set up in a way that, and part of it because of Christian Protestantism, and part of it because of North American consumerism, is set up in a way in which your spirituality gets really buried within you. And you're either ashamed of realizing that you have it, or ashamed of saying something about it, or to practice it. But I agree with you. I think we all have it within. Some of the undergrad students I deal with, they have an orienting principle no matter who they are. And that is a spirituality that some of them have something that is established by faith tradition. So there are some outline principles that you can read in a book or go to church and practice. But for some others, it's something much more tacit, but still influences them. I give students a lot the example of the gym, because going to the gym is a big practice now. I tell them how much of a religious practice that is, if wanting to improve yourself, shaping your life around that, connecting that to health, to wellness, to a way of being in the world. That is a spirituality. It's not equivalent to me to this kinds of spirituality that can allow you to live an existing community, but it is there. So the moment that all the students realize, oh, doesn't matter what my tradition is or my lack of tradition is, I have a direction, a sense of direction. I'm putting onto my own life a direction of a beyond, of a future that is different, that is better. And that comes with its biases, its norms. Is that moment is the moment that you're describing, of that moment they realize, oh, my bias is encountering your bias.
Yes.
And we can just sit in each other's presence and realize we could have a relationship across spiritual boundaries. Does that resolve the whole problem? No, but it's the first step.
Yes.
Sometimes it happens at the end of one's life. Most times it happens at the end of one's life.
And you deal with a lot of that end of your life.
And that is very interesting. I remember when my supervisor said to me, there was a certain visit I had, and he said, well, can you not accept that soccer is that patient spirituality? And I was sitting there like, pardon me? It's their sacred core. That's what life is lived for. But you're very right, Hector. At the end of life, people have huge questions. And then they come to the question, is my sacred big enough? Can it handle
Can soccer?
death? Yes.
Can soccer handle that?
If it's in the gym and I get an accident and I can no longer work out, if it is a person and the person betrays you, so is my, whatever I've chosen to be the sacred core and the sacred, that's what I built my life upon, is it big enough? And so that's when, yes, at the end of life, people that were faithful all their life. I met a lady, devoted churchgoer, and she said, is it really true? Huge doubts on the one hand. A gentleman who had started a church, his wife said, oh my goodness, he's wondering, he was at death's door. He's now wondering whether he's good enough and whether his faith is strong enough. And it only took a few questions to say, what did you believe? What did you build your faith on? And I read him a few passages and he had it back. She said the next day, you just reassured him. On the other hand, when people haven't believed in anything, I met a patient that I've been off and on with for 2 years, and the first time he said, are you here? I'm not spiritual. And then built a relationship where he came to ask, because that drew closer.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about religion. And then he talked about something else. And every time I said, tell me about religion, until one time I said, should I say a prayer? And how do you want me to address whatever your higher power is? Because I want to respect what you would call that if you would. And he said, yes, please do say a prayer. So, yes, it's an evolving thing, isn't it? My spirituality, my Christian faith has evolved. And so if it doesn't change, then it's become static and you go backward. So it's different in the stages of life and where you're at. And can we meet that person if they're in those, I have to think of Fowler's 6 stages of faith, where you go, at some point you start to question everything, and we consider that going backwards. And it's going forwards because now we're building and we're making it our own.